I'd like to call to order the Parks Board meeting for Monday, February 26. Do we have any citizens' comments? Thank you, sir. No hurry. Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. I need an approval of the minutes of the 22nd of January. Mr. Pike first, Mr. White second. All in favor say aye. Aye. And that takes care of that. Before we move on to old business, I'd like to welcome back I'm trying to think of the appropriate thing to call him. You
just said old business.
Old business. We want to welcome Mr. Lamar back. We're glad to have him. Mr. Lamar, you got any? Oh, God. Yeah, you do have a few words to say, I'm pretty sure. So.
I've got a lot to say. I've been gone for 18 months. I've got a lot to say. No, I'm glad to be back to help in the interim. Mr. Rogers resigned last week, and the mayor talked to Keith and I about me coming back in the interim until another parks director is hired permanently. So I'm gonna help with the major projects, budget, Mary's Magical Place, the hockey rinks, the volunteer phase 2, and those projects like that. And then Keith and the people to my left will continue to do the day-to-day operations of the city, which they do a great job. So I'm glad to be back, serve the people again, and I'll do what I can. Thank you very much.
Dave, we're sure glad to have you back.
Thank you.
Sure glad to have you back. All right, under old business, volunteer park phase 2.
I'll give a brief report on that. We had a, 2.5, 3 hour meeting. Dallas, Keith, and I, Jim Gillum, Hartfield, and Roberts, on the concession stand. I don't know where you people are with this, and so I'm just going to, again, just kind of give you some Reader's Digest version. First bid came in at $1.2 million, too high. They rebid it, came in. Low bid this time was $710,000. We still have some things to tweak. We don't know if we're going to have to go back to the alderman to get the rest of the money over the $500,000 that we got from the state. There's several aspects that we have to hammer out between now and the next couple of weeks, and probably between now and the next board meeting we'll know. We go to Public Works tomorrow, and we talk to them about the design, the layout. The sewer and the HVAC is not in the building. We need to talk about that. And then we need to talk about if we're going to go to the Board of Aldermen this year for the extra $200,000, or we're going to wait till next year's budget. But there's some constraints on the bid process. There's 60 days window from the people that bid on it to accept or reject their bid. And then we have about 14 months to complete the project through the state to get the $500,000 toward the $710,000. So we've got a couple of windows of opportunity, so to speak, that we have to look at. We've got again, Public Works Committee meeting tomorrow. We've got a staff meeting with the mayor in the morning. What I'll probably do, if it's okay with you, Mr. Chairman, is send you all an email after these next 2 or 3 meetings this week and kind of let you all know where it is. We surely don't want to forego that $500,000 with the state, but we also have to meet certain guidelines with the state, or we can't get the money. And I do know one thing that I'm going to relay to the alderman and the Public Works Committee is that one thing we don't want to do is say, well, we're not going to build it and you can have your $500,000 back, because we will never get another grant again.
No.
Okay, I've been in this business long enough to know that the grant system and the cycle will not come back around to Hendersonville for a long time if we do that. So our staff over here has done a great job with getting me to where we are now, and then I'm going to take it from this point and try to move forward with it.
Very good.
Thank you.
Questions? Thank you, Dave. Mary's Magical Playground.
Only thing I'll say about that, we've got a meeting 11:30 in the morning, Keith and Stephen and I. If they have any comments to make, that would be great. Keith, you got anything?
Yeah, a couple that we actually met with them a little bit last week before Dave got started. They have broke ground. We had the groundbreaking last Thursday. I think it was last Thursday or Thursday before, that part of it. Basically in the bond, there's about $130,000 that the city's responsible for in the project. They have raised they've raised about $850,000, which is amazing for a volunteer group. So it's going to be over $1 million project when it's all said and done. So there's some things we're responsible for, some shelters, some picnic tables, trash cans, and so forth, some concrete work, and that part of it. We're still trying to get that list, exactly what we're responsible for from them and what we need to do, and Public Works will help out with concrete and so forth. But again, we had a pretty good meeting, again, about a week ago with the drainage, some drainage issues they were trying to work out over there because the land so flat, and get the stuff off, the water off and around the rinks. They're trying to get some more stuff donated. There's going to be another shelter inside the fencing, and we're trying to get some of that donated to get that put up. The fencing itself, she was trying to talk to some fencing companies to possibly get that donated. But from our standpoint, from the city, we're going to help out whatever we can and need to do and try to stay within that $130,000 that was in the bond.
What I'll do too, Mr. Chairman, is I'll go ahead, when I include an email back to you guys about the design of the building, I'll include that after that meeting tomorrow and kind of keep you updated what's going on. Appreciate that.
I'm sure a lot of emails will come. We're good with it. Don't worry about it. Several of us were over for the groundbreaking over there, and it was amazing to see how many people cared and how many people had those shirts on, and this is going to be, I have a feeling this is going to be much larger than most people think it is, not size-wise, but importance-wise. So
it'll be one of the best in the southeast
Yes,
by
it
far.
will.
I mean, it's going to be a big deal, I'm going to tell you.
Yes, sir.
It is.
Any questions? All right, thank you, sir. Inline hockey update, looking good over there, by the way.
I'm going to go ahead and refer that to Stephen. He's been fooling with that. Steve, would you take up?
The walls are back up now on both rinks. They're starting to get the fence put back up. Hockey has hired a gentleman to come in and pressure wash both rinks. I think he has one to go, right, Keith? Is that correct? And I believe the surface is supposed to come this week.
Yeah.
It'll take them, he told me, 3 or 4 days to install, and he's looking at the end of next week as completion, barring weather. That's kind of been the holdup on a few things, but it's gone really quick.
Yes,
When they put up that first wall, first section, I mean, it's gone really quicker than I thought it would.
Yeah, sure, it really did. Can either you or Keith, Keith mentioned something to me the other day about that surface and about how it's going to be a better surface than what we had to start with there. And he said it's probably going to be important to I just want to get it out to the public that you kind of mentioned that.
Yeah, it's basically, used to the other surfaces gotten way too slick. What it was is that's the reason they keep telling me that people don't want to come and play on the rinks, because it was just too slick and they couldn't stand up, especially the older kids and the adults. And so this piece is coming in 4x4s instead of 1x1s. A newer surface, new technology. They skated on it some, I think down in Atlanta is where they actually saw it, and had actually taken some teams to play on the surface. So, hopefully everything works out right. We can get this stuff under the boards. We had some issues with some nail, the old board, the way it was installed and put down. Hopefully with this situation, this guy seems to be really good at knows what he's doing, that we'll handle that. There is a little issue with the shims that hold the board up so the flooring can go underneath the boards. Probably about 150 of these shims about this wide, trying to fit that piece of puzzle around those so it fits underneath the board was their concern right now, is what they're trying to get to.
Okay.
But besides that, it's hopefully they will have a spring season.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Chairman, go ahead. I got a question, just a comment. And it's funny because we started out with a concrete surface and we painted it and put some,
Yeah.
and then we came in after the flood of 2010, and then we put the tiles in there. The company we bought the tiles from has gone out of business, bankrupt, and that's kind of where we're going. So we've progressively gotten a better surface each time we replace it because of the technology.
Indeed. Mr. Spike?
Just a quick question, I guess, for everybody out there. I'm sure the hockey people know, but once that surface is down, does it need to cure? Is it readily available to play on right then, or what?
It should be able to play the next day. The only concerns they have is during the summertime and the heat, when those flooring gets so hot, they call it hot spots, if it'll expand, and that's the reason those shims are there, to hopefully accommodate the heating of the flooring surface, and that way there won't be ripples that come up when it hits that board. It won't go back and ripple up on us. So they're trying to take that into consideration, but it should be ready to go.
Well, since the Reds are going to win the cup, then probably more people are going to play, so that's good. Any other question? Thank you. Under new business, putting for pause, Sean Groton. Come on up and talk to us. Most of us. State your name, sir.
Sean Groton.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
It's pretty basic. We want to do just a one-round tournament on Sunday, March 18th at Saunders Ferry Disc Golf Course at the park. And I've spoken with Freedom Farm Sanctuary, and they're sending me a list of the needed items that they're in need of. So each participant will bring 5 or more of those items that they need from Freedom Farms. And then I'll be throwing in some CTPs for the players closest to the pin. So we're wanting to do a one-round fun charity tournament. A couple weeks ago, I did a tournament at Rockland Recreation Area. I set up an 18-hole temporary course, and everybody brought 5 canned goods or more, and we donated all that to Sumner County Food Bank a couple days ago. So kind of same premise there, but for the pets.
Okay. Questions? Any scheduling problems in here? Oh, Ms. Bordet, go ahead.
So on the application, it says Humane Society. Is that the same as Freedom Farms?
Well, initially we wanted to do the Humane Society, but then I heard about the Freedom Farms. They don't put down the animals, so we kind of we decided to go with that.
Have you gone over all of the logistics with the staff here at all? Have you talked with them at all? Or?
Talk a little bit.
We've talked a little bit about preserving a shelter or two so he can have sign-ins and so forth. Not a lot of detail, but with only 50 to 70 people, I think we can get him a shelter or two to have sign-ups and give out prizes and so forth at the end.
I think just one shelter would be fine.
Yeah, we can work that out.
Question? Motion to approve, Mr. Pike. Second, Mr. Head. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? You got it.
Well, thank you, guys.
Wow, that was easy.
All right.
Won't be as easy the next time. No, I'm kidding. Tennessee Honey Festival. I can't wait. Sarah Davidson,
Yes.
you have samples? No, I'm kidding.
Hi, y'all. I'm Sarah with U.S. Pest Protection. I'm in the marketing department. And did you all know that 1/3 of our honeybee population has disappeared in over the last 5 years? And 1/3 of the food we eat comes directly from honeybees and pollinators. So at U.S. Pest, we protect what matters most, and so we want to host the first Tennessee Honey Festival in our flagship office here in Hendersonville at Memorial Park on September 8th. This community event is not for profit nor a charitable fundraiser. This festival will be a public awareness campaign and a cultural activity that will market the city of Hendersonville as a supporter in this very important campaign to help protect the future of our agriculture and ecosystem. There'll be beehive painting, honey-inspired goods, interactive art stations, live music, beekeeping classes, food vendors, and fun for all ages. We want to charge adults $10, kids 12 and under $6, and then run a family package for around $20 to $25. And we'll probably take donations for some of the interactive art stations. Ticket sales will help pay for advertising, like banners and signage all over Hendersonville, and educational seminars and the costs associated to making the festival run smoothly. There's several thousands of people that are interested in this event. I've been running a Facebook campaign for like the last 6 months, and we've got over 9,000 people that are interested, and about 300 people that are actively wanting to come and participate and be a part of the event. I have about 25 food vendors, honey people around Tennessee that want to be involved. So the only thing that I'm requesting is the vendor fee that I saw on the application was like $100, and so I was hoping that we could maybe lower that a little bit because it is not a nonprofit festival. We're doing it just for the sake of spreading the word on saving the honeybees. So.
300 to 500 people?
Probably around 300.
Are they big people? No. Are we set up for that?
The only thing I'm concerned about, I wasn't sure about how you're going to do the sales for the tickets for this, because being a day out, trying to get that all in the funnel into one location, to enter into the location one time is going to be awful tough with fencing and stuff like that. I'm not sure how we could monitor everybody walking up to get to one gate. And so that's some logistics stuff I'm not sure of. I wasn't sure how, if you're doing pre-sales, I wasn't sure you're actually going to charge for the event. I thought it was maybe a free event. So you're actually charging $10?
Well, I mean, we've kind of gone back and forth on how we're going to do it. We could do it through like Eventbrite and have people do pre-sales and then send them a wristband. And then we thought maybe we'd have 2 locations entering into that area at Memorial Park and having our people man it and give out tickets there.
Right.
So there are some logistics that, that we need to figure out, but we're hoping that, the city of Hendersonville would, support us and, work with us on this, because I know that it's going to be a really great tourism festival, an event, and we're wanting to sponsor the whole thing. And so it's really about us wanting to be the leaders in the industry, raise the bar, and get out a really important message that we can do. It's just, we want to host it in Hendersonville.
Questions?
Okay, so it's a great event. I hear that you want to do this as kind of like a nonprofit, as educational, but then the exact flip side is you want people to pay for it, to come to it, and you want us to lower the vendor fees so the vendors will be there, and then also hear your company's going to sponsor it all. So,
Well, the
I'm just
costs,
kind of confused which way, because
yeah,
if it was free and you were having vendors, I wouldn't see any problem with it, but you're going to collect money, which is an issue in itself, and the gates. So where's all that money going? If you're sponsoring it and you're paying for it, are you paying yourself back with the money from the gate fees? What are you doing?
advertising. And we're going to try to get as many people, to Hendersonville and use the event to promote the awareness. So I understand the whole ticketing, that sort of thing, that I think we could definitely discuss. So this is a new event, so nobody's ever kind of taken it on, and so we're just trying to get the ball rolling to try and make it happen. But that's a good question, and I will bring it back to the owner of our company.
Yes.
Can I add on to that? If as a resident that might be interested in bringing my family, I think I'd get a little bit of a mixed message as well. If this is an awareness event, you want it to be community, and then for my family, it'd be $25. If that $25 went to a a fund that was overseen by people in the business, and to try to revive the populations or whatever. But I think that's a potential logistical barrier, but I think it's also a potential barrier to your casual person that may be interested and may want to come out on a beautiful Saturday or Sunday and get behind a cause. I kind of had the same question as Mr. Head, that if your company is out in front of it, then if you underwrite it, then you can then we can kind of work through some things.
Okay.
I'm not telling you how to run your event. I'm just telling you, as a person that might bring my family to it, $25, I may stay away unless I know that money is going directly to support the cause. It's not supporting advertising or behind-the-scenes marketing. It's not subsidizing the vendor fee or something like that. I'd be a little disappointed if that's where my money went.
Okay. So, well, with the event also, and I don't know, the painting of the hives and all the interactive art things like that your kids would experience and take away, like they take away their own hive that they painted. And then they'd also be in an educational seminar learning how to do beekeeping. And so that also is kind of, the reason why we're like, oh, well, to charge something for them to get that experience of learning about the bees. And so, but I see your point.
If I could put my 2 cents worth in,
Yes, sir.
I think there's more planning that needs to be done.
Okay.
I think that, I think it is a good cause.
Okay.
But because of logistics and because of what they've mentioned, there's some stumbling blocks.
Okay.
And I think if we could table it tonight, and if you could, maybe even get with the staff a little more,
Okay.
and see what you can come up with there. We are not here to deny things. We're here to help people out,
Okay.
but we want to do it in the right way. So if you could spend some more time with the staff members, and if you could come back next meeting, I think it'd be better to go over it with them. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I totally
Unless
understand.
somebody has any objection to that.
And I definitely appreciate all the feedback, and we want that. So
Yes, ma'am.
I appreciate that, and I will go back to Erica and Sam and talk to them about that, and,
Yes,
figure
ma'am.
out more of a game plan.
Yes, ma'am. Have they, just on the side note, have they clamped down on the places where you can have hives? And I think they've done that, haven't they?
Yes.
So, yeah, this would be great. I mean, just for people to know stuff like this. So if we can come up with something, it'd be really good.
Okay, so mostly concerned with ticket pricing. Would that be like the main concern?
Logistics,
Okay.
ticket, the way, and like they said, the way it comes across
Okay.
to the public. Because we
Okay.
won't get people out. We don't want people to stay away because, like, they're cheap like me. So, I mean, we want them to come.
Okay. Gotcha.
Okay?
Okay, well, I appreciate that.
Thank you, ma'am. If
All right,
you can come
thank
back
you.
to next meeting, we appreciate it. Thank
right.
you.
Did I put that on?
There's Hendersonville 3x3 Under the Lights, John Teague.
It's actually pronounced.
Did I say
like-
that right?
It's pronounced like a necktie, John Tie.
Close enough.
Yep.
Good enough. You know who you are. That's good.
I'm a member of the Hendersonville Soccer Foundation, and as you know, the Hendersonville Soccer Foundation is responsible for paying for the loan of the new lights that are at Field 11, at the Field of Dreams, that were installed a couple months ago. One of the fundraisers we would like to do to help pay for those lights would be to host a 3v3 tournament on June 16th. We would be teaming up with the 3v3 Live organization to put this tournament on. The application, just for clarity, states that it's for-profit. That's due to the involvement of the 3v3 Live organization. However, the Hendersonville Soccer Foundation is a nonprofit, so it would be a fundraiser for us. A representative from 3v3 Live, Mr. Eddie Metter, is also here, as well as John Lane, who's the current president of the Hendersonville Soccer Foundation, and we'd be happy to answer any questions you might have.
Questions? Yes, sir.
So you're charging, tell me how the fees are being charged, the total fee structure, what you're doing.
I may invite Eddie to come up and help with that.
Fine. Come right ahead. State your name, please.
Eddie Metter with 3v3 Live.
Yes, sir.
So our fee structure is that each team pays a $185 entry fee. Then that we as a company, we're a tournament manager, so to speak. It's their tournament. They'll be running concessions and profiting from that and any of the other. We run the actual event. We charge $185 per team to enter the event, and then we provide all of the equipment and we pay for pay the referees, and all the expenses come out of that. And we also donate $25 from that $185 back to the host organization. And then we make a little money for our trouble, but it's not a lot.
Where does the $5 parking come into play
Right, the $5 parking and concessions would all go straight to Hendersonville Soccer.
for the lights?
Yes, sir.
That's where this is all going.
As well as the fee that gets donated back, yes, sir.
Okay. Any other question? Ms. Ted?
3 on 3. More than 3 players on a team because it's $185 per team. You don't have 3 players, it's $62 a person. So is the team allowed to have more than 3 players?
Yes, teams you typically have a roster of up to 6
Okay,
players.
I was just curious how much per player, if a team got together and decided to play.
Maybe they're big guys. No.
And there's several 3v3 tournaments around. The 3v3 Live has hosted in Goodlettsville before. They've hosted in White House before, and I know personally, all my kids have participated in it, and it's usually a fairly good crowd and a good event.
Did that answer your question about the fees and whatnot?
Mr. Chairman, I got
Yes,
one
sir.
question, and I think the staff has a question. Just out of curiosity, what do the lights cost you guys to install, reinstall, or the additional cost of the lighting for the Field 11?
My name's John Lane, so
Thank
I'll
you.
answer those questions. We paid for those lights $129,000.
Okay.
We paid $29,000 up front in cash and took out a $100,000 loan.
What did that bring the candle power up to? Did it bring it up
It
to-
went from roughly it was between 15 and 20-foot candles, and now we're at 47,
Great.
which
Okay, that's what,
the minimum for state TSSAA was 30, and I think NCAA is 50, so we're right at a college level qualification for lighting on that field.
thank you. Well, as a discussion we had a couple years ago, and I didn't know where that was. Thank you.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. I think staff's got a question.
How many full-size soccer fields will you guys need?
That kind of depends. The guideline is one field for every 5 teams. So if we're expecting 70 to 100 teams, you'd be in that 15 to 20 team or 20 field range. So, correct. I mean, because the fields are, help me, 50 by.
So each full-sided field over at the soccer complex will break down into typically about 5 fields. It's 4 of our older age group. They're 30 by 40, so 4 fields fit on one full-sided field. Our younger age groups play on 20 by 30, which is half that, so 6 to 8 can fit on a full-sided field. So we'd be talking about 4 fields to 4 or 5 fields, possibly 6 if all our dreams came true.
Yes, sir.
This is a question for y'all. I know typically, correct me if I'm wrong, any of y'all, typically, that's the time, right at the time that we're starting to gear down, let the fields, am I correct?
It is.
But, if there's a way we could do this, I would be for it, just to help them with what they've given down there.
Have
So-
you looked at that? Have you looked at the timing of that?
We have, actually, the 15th, June 15th is our last day of play, and that's the Tennessee Night of Camp. So that, I mean, it's just one more day of play. The one thing that jumps out at me is typically when we have tournaments, soccer tournaments, we shut down baseball. We don't have any play on those baseball fields. On the books right now, we have game day baseball, which is scheduled for softball and baseball side of Drakes Creek Park. So that's the one thing that we would need to look at as far as traffic.
One thing, Mr. Chairman.
Yes,
And there's also, normally what happens is, because Dallas is a little new to this part of it, but usually like fields 8, 9, 10, and 11, we move over to veterans that weekend. So there's nobody parking in the back parts. We can put all the soccer back there. That weekend, there's 2 baseball tournaments. There's one at Drakes Creek and there's one at Veterans Park. So logistically, I'm not sure where all the cars are going to fit in back at soccer, because the baseball tournaments have been on the books for a while. I want this to happen. It's just logistically, how many fields can we get in the back of the soccer and, that part of it, so they can all park in the back part of it instead of the front part of soccer? Because if this baseball is as big as they say it's going to be, we'll have to play games on 8, 9, 10, and 11. We won't be able not to play baseball on those 4 fields. And when y'all taking a gate right there at the bridge, all those people are going to be coming in there too. So I guess my question is, how can we sort of move it around do you have a magic number that we can take or not take to try to push it towards the back of soccer?
So my hope would be is that we play everything in 10, 11, 12, 13, and 14 in the back of the park, and there would be nobody parking in that front parking lot by the water bridge. Matter of fact, if we were going to do a gate, it would be as a gate to the back parking lot.
That would help tremendously.
Yeah.
From a staff standpoint, excuse me, from a staff standpoint, that would help tremendously.
It would help.
So
Yes.
what about Arrowhead? Would that not be an option for them?
Technically, Arrowhead only has 2 fields, two full-size fields, so they're needing 4, 5, 6 fields. we wouldn't be able to do that there.
Now, if they had the staff that can handle 2 different places, we'd be okay with that. You know, if we say we got to have 6 fields and we only got 4 in the back, and you got 2 more that you want to go over to Arrowhead, I think that would be doable.
Because, like Keith said, the 2 tournaments that are scheduled typically are they bring a lot of teams. They're big tournaments.
And I don't know that the timing necessarily of the baseball tournaments would matter. The intention of this one would be to start early afternoon and actually go into the evening. Don't know if that helps at all with the traffic flow on the baseball side.
Baseball would normally start at 8 o'clock and go to probably about 10 o'clock at night. 8 in the morning until about 10 is a normal time frame for these guys, part of it.
Logistically, is that an issue with say you use 4 fields at Drakes Creek and 2 at Veterans?
It is an issue. Our events, we tend to have a lot of family participation where they'll have 2 or 3 teams that are entered, and they're walking from one field to the other, and games start with the small-sided games. They're 2 10-minute halves, so games start every 30 minutes. And so teams play 1 game here, walk over 2 fields, and the sibling plays here, and then there's 3 more, and the sibling plays over there. What we had intended, and we think we can manage, is that we would be playing all on those fields in the back half, and that if push came to shove, we would spill over onto, did you say that's 4?
Whether it's 9, I'm trying to remember the field number, whether it's 9 or 4, the ones that are right next to the parking lot.
Yeah, 9 would be.
If we ended up getting more teams than we anticipate, that I would think that the use of either one or both of those would be as far as we would go towards the baseball fields.
What's your maximum number of teams that you could put in the backside before you'd start spilling over into the top, into the? Just.
So it depends on Field of Dreams too, the Field 13, is that 13?
I think the intention is to use that one as well.
Use that one? We could do it right about 100 in the back. Right about 100 teams, which is what we're anticipating.
Yeah.
I would suspect that we'd be fine back there.
Yeah,
We do a much bigger one in White House, and they have 5 full-sided fields.
Yeah.
Would the high school stadium field be an option? I mean,
We intend to use that one as well.
Oh,
Yes,
okay,
sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
okay.
Yes, sir.
So is that doable, Keith? If that's what they do?
I think if you can limit it to the 5 fields, you know, you may have to cut it off at 100 teams. You know, a part of it, that's what we tell other tournaments and so forth. I mean, we want as many as we can get, but with parking, I just think it's going to be logistic getting everybody in there. If 5 fields can get you 100 teams, can you cut it at 100 and make money?
Sure.
That part of it?
Yep.
Out of it?
I kind of gauge your success rate by how the heads of those guys go down there, and they've been doing this,
Yeah.
so I think you feel reasonably comfortable with it down there, at least at that way, right?
That's the best scenario, you know, of getting, you know, all the tournaments in for that Saturday. It's just Saturday, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Baseball will be Saturday and Sunday. Won't be an issue on Saturday. And we'll have some traffic at Indian Lake getting them in and out of the park, that part of it. We just need y'all to go down as far as you can to take up the money, which y'all done a good job. During the United tournaments, they do a great job keeping the cars moving on that part of it.
That's fun.
Just out of curiosity, is there any, is the weekend before, or the weekend after a viable option for
I was
them?
gonna- yeah.
I mean, just logistically, so they could have as much as every field if it became such a big tournament, where it's possible to have one of those weekends?
Pretty much in June, we're full every weekend.
Do you think you could live under that criterion,
Yes, sir.
sir? You could do that?
I
Okay.
can.
All right. All right, Mr. Pike makes a motion, Mr. Head seconds a motion. Any more discussion?
I have one thing, Mr. Chairman,
Yes, sir.
we're going to have a baseball tournament out there and this tournament out there. Obviously, we know their gate's going to be all the way back there. The baseball, I think with the new fencing and everything, they've been able to not have to take a gate in the road. Is that correct? That, I mean, I'm
Actually-
just, I don't want to bottleneck something up there because there's one way to get to soccer, as we all know. And if they're
Basically-
trying to take the gate,
Right. The policy's been the last year is we don't stop traffic, at least the front end of the park, to collect a gate. That's why we put all the extra gates up around, walking gates. Anything in baseball and softball for the last year to 18 months, you've actually had to collect walk-in and not at the car.
I mean.
Correct.
And it actually works out a whole lot better than being in the middle of the road and getting run over.
I don't want to get run over. I've got a first and a second. Any more discussion?
Just real quick.
Yes, sir.
Does 3v3 Live assume the insurance?
We do.
Okay.
We'd be listing the city of Hendersonville as an additionally insured under our policy.
Any other question? All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? You got it, under that criterion. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
All right, under staff reports, first, I want to say that it sure is good to see y'all back over there. Somehow or other, with the exception of Ms. Bourget here, y'all are better looking than we are, so we needed better looking people on the board. So that, I sure appreciate, I'm glad y'all are back, so that's good. Do you, I said with the exception. I said with the exception. My wife will kill me for that. I can't believe that's all right. Dave, does anybody have Ms. Hamlin's report or?
They're doing their own reports.
Okay, well, quit yelling at me.
I'm not yelling, I'm being straight up with you, Mr. Chairman.
All right, thank you, sir. Under maintenance, Mr. Russell.
Mr. Chairman, this winter, we've had quite a few big projects going on. One thing we had was the upstairs of the quad concession press box area. We've done some painting, put in a new floor. The bathrooms downstairs of the quad kind of got some upgrades, new countertops, sinks, some new hand dryers. Just kind of trying to spruce that up. That's an older building there.
Yes,
I think people will really notice it when they go in. We're going to start putting down some pre-emergent fertilizer on our sports fields. Actually, I started today. Was able to get some of it done in between the rain. We got a project going at Field 3, the high school baseball field. I don't know if any of you have seen it. It's the new stadium seats we're putting in. We're getting really close on that. Handrails went in today. We have 2 rows of seats put in, have 2 rows left to go. So hopefully by the end of the week, that will be ready to go for their first home game. And at Mallard Point Boat Dock, we have rebuilt that boat dock, took out the old lumber, put in some composite decking, and had 2 new jet ski lifts installed. So that was a big upgrade for that dock there. A lot of people use that dock. And that's all I have.
Very good. Question?
Hey, Stephen, I know baseball's right around the corner, softball's right around the corner. As far as the rain goes, what are the field? How has it affected the fields? Any worse than it usually is with that much rain, or was it pretty good?
We've had one field kind of tell on itself this year that was maybe worse than last year, but other than that, no. I mean, like today, they were able to get Keith, 6 or 8 fields ready today after all the rain yesterday. So we had a couple fields laser graded too back in the fall. We try to do about 2 fields every year to try to stay on top of it. And we'll pick 2 more this year.
Yes, sir, Mr. Hill.
So, I got a question. When talking about fields and being tore up and stuff, what do you do? I mean, I guess the best way to put it, there's been some teams practicing when the fields are closed, according to the rainout line. What do you do with those teams that are, I mean, how can we control that? I know that's a no, I mean, where does that validity come in there? Is there any way to, I guess, for lack of better words, I mean, I know like in football you have a sign that says field closed. Not that that's going to keep anybody off of it if they really want to get on it. But, I was down there on a Sunday. The park was closed. I was working on cleaning up the concession stand. Team comes in there and, they're mowing, they're trying to make the field playable and they're making it worse.
Yeah, I agree. That is tough. It's hard when the staff's not there, 7 days a week, all day. It is tough. And I think some people know when the staff's not there and, they know when they can come. But it does make it tough when they get on the fields and chop them up, and then it does rain. After that, it takes them longer to dry. But just something we have to deal with each day.
Okay. Another question? Thank you, Mr. Russell. Parks Manager, Mr. Long.
Adult volleyball season's ongoing. Their tournament's this Sunday, so they'll finish up this Sunday. The adult basketball tournament's currently ongoing, and they have about 2 weeks left of that. Babe Ruth, 13, 15-year-old baseball registration is still ongoing, and we'll complete that this Thursday, March 1st. And we're looking at probably having 2 teams for that league. Civitan baseball and flag football began practice last week. Tennessee United began practice last week as well, and they'll have their first games this weekend. And then Hendersonville Soccer Club will begin practice on Monday, and they're looking to start games March 17th.
Question? You must have explained it well. Thank you. Assistant Director, Mr. Bruce.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Also good to see you again on a monthly basis. Cindy's report, a couple things. The special needs basketball finished up this past weekend. She had about 50 players in that league. The Easter Spring Fling is March the 22nd here at City Hall, 3 to 5, if you're interested in coming to that. She did say 12 and under, but if we'll make an exception for board members, if y'all want to come on in, lower than 12, so we'll be okay. Special needs baseball will start here in March, and then she's also starting to work on the summer programs from June 11th to July 20th. Okay, that was Cindy's report. A couple things on my report. The basketball. The youth basketball finished up last weekend, had a good year. That's 105 teams. Adult softball and adult kickball is ongoing for signups. The men's softball, the senior men, which I think Mr. Pike is eligible, for the senior men's is 3 divisions. They're going to have 12 teams. Lacrosse has started practicing. They've got games, some scrimmage games going on. We talked about the hockey surface. We had the Trevecca tournament, was supposed to be last weekend and got rained out. We were supposed to have the Hendersonville High School Play Day softball tournament this past weekend, and it got rained out. So we're 0 for 2 on tournaments, but we got 5 more straight weekends to try. So I think we'll be okay. The GMB is this weekend, baseball 3rd and 4th, and then the beach tournament is March the 10th. And then the Commando tournament is the 14th to the 17th. So that's pretty much our next month of special events. Concerning the special events coordinator, the deadline has passed for the applications. They've narrowed it down to about 9 people. We have resumes. The staff is going over those, and hopefully by the end of this week, we'll have it narrowed down to 4 or 5 and then start the interview process. So we're moving forward with that. The mayor said go ahead and keep that process moving, and so we'll hopefully have somebody not too long to do that. Get some more help in the office. Again, appreciate Dave coming back. We'll get until a new director, a permanent director is named, so glad to have Dave back. Thank you, sir.
Another reason I'm glad you're back, we need to rekindle the charity event, kickball, the staff against the board.
Yeah.
I'm figuring the charity event would probably come up with maybe $8.
Yeah. We may be able to get like the soccer board or the baseball board to get a team too, possibly, to do that.
I like to play kickball against Bacardi.
Yeah, you could like throw the ball as hard as you want to at these people. You talk all the time. Yeah. Just a comment.
I'm sure glad you're back. I sure am glad you're back. Thank you. Any questions, Mr. Bruce? Thank you. Parks Director, Mr. Lamar.
Just a couple of comments. Again, the budget process is going to start soon. I'll find out tomorrow at the staff meeting with the mayor how that's going to proceed. And again, just to reiterate, one of the agreements that the mayor and I and Keith came to with me is that I would take care of the big project ticket items, and again, the staff would take care of what staff does. They do a great job. I'm not going to interfere with their day-to-day operations. They know what to do, and I'm going to leave them alone, let them do what they do best. I appreciate the Parks Board's support over the years and continued support. We got a lot of projects coming up and a lot of things on the horizon, and I appreciate y'all's support. We're looking at some tickets on the budget item, which, again, I'll bring to you next month. If you have any suggestions when we get that, please feel free to ask me, put them on there. I'll take them back to the Finance Committee, whatever we need to do. I know there's some lights being tossed around at Arrowhead volunteer park at Arrowhead. I know there's some relighting of a football field in Field 1. I know there's some other staff suggestions, so there's things on the horizon that if you have anything, just, feel free to give me a call or whatever. Again, I'm glad to help out, and I'm enjoying my retirement. My golfing buddy is not real happy with me right now because I'm not going to be playing golf with him every day like I was, but that's okay. I'll make it up. I'll make it up in the interim. But I love the city and I love working. I love what I do, and I'm just glad to be able to jump in and help out. And we'll get another director here on board, and we'll move forward in a positive direction. So again, glad to be here and glad to see everybody. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. All right, under roundtable, Ms. Bourget. Mr. Bowler? I'm sorry?
Nothing.
No, oh, come on. I know Pike's got something.
I'm good.
Oh, Mr. Campbell? Mr. Frank? Mr. Campbell? Mr. White?
Well, I can't let that happen.
I know, I was going to, somebody had to stop.
It's got a bottleneck somewhere. Real quick, and it's good to have the staff back, and the one thing that I want to say again, that I don't think can be said enough, Stephen, and what you guys are doing down there, and the way the park looks on a daily basis, and the effort that's put in. I really appreciate what those guys and you do down there every day to make this a park that people all over the southeast want to come and do events in. And I've been a little slacking on my morning routine, but you can let the guys know that weather's looking up. I'm going to start watching them again. So.
One of the things, Mr. Chairman, along with that is the Trevecca tournament coordinator and I talked after it rained it out, and he said the reason why they want to come down here is for that reason. The fields and the facilities to have college teams from Minnesota, Michigan, Ohio, one from South Dakota coming south because they got snow on their fields right now. They have nowhere to play, and they just really like coming to Hendersonville, and we missed out on a huge tourism with 15 teams for 4 days in the motels and the food and so on. But he said he's already got 8 teams paid to come back next year, and so it's I'm like, Nathan, the maintenance in the field facilities is what people come here for.
Yeah, indeed. Yeah. Yes, indeed. Mr. Head? Mr. Frost? Nope. Good to have you over there, miss. Good to have you over. Question, are we still doing the minutes off of the recording, or what? Do we know that yet? Uh-oh.
I don't know, I'm just in charge. I don't know, y'all can answer that?
I'm seeing a lot of shaking their heads.
The recorder was not broke tonight.
We got the CD up there, we'll
Yeah.
use the TV CD, I
Yeah.
guess.
Okay. And second, one thing I wanted to mention is I have more and more people approach me saying, hey, I saw you on TV the other night. I saw you, I don't know what. Well, the reason I'm saying that, more people, I think, watch this than we think they do. And to the public, if you haven't been to our park system, whether it be Arrowhead or whether it be Drake's Creek, whichever park it is, if you haven't been there, just need to get out one sunny day and ride around and look at these parks, because they are just second to none. And I'm gonna double what he said. It's all because of these people down here, and we're proud of them. So there you go. All right, motion to adjourn. Mr. Pike first, Mr. Frank second. All in favor say aye. Aye. We're out of here. Thank you for your